So what you need to make one of these is you're going to need scissors, and you're going to need a ton of hot glue, which I've got plenty of, and also cardboard. What I prefer to use is cardboard card, you know, just from food packaging. It's a great way of recycling, and also it just means that you've saved up space in your bin as well as recycled. So, and it's easy to use, which is what I like. So I tend to start off with a bigger box. That's the biggest one I've got. I tend to use the smaller boxes for details. So what I need to do first of all is turn this box inside out, because this side has the like shiny coating on it. Okay, so first of all what I'm doing is I've got to build the basic structure. So I've took a big cereal box and turned it inside out, and I'm going to glue it back together, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but it makes life a lot easier for working out size. Hasn't got to be perfect, obviously. I need to put another glue stick in my glue gun in a minute. So what I always start off with is a box. Now obviously this one's too big because I'm not making them all giant scale or anything. So I'm going to cut this about half-ish. So to do that, just fold it flat and then cut. I want it about that big. It's just under half. And like I said, this is just to give the basic structure. And then I'm going to glue the flappy bits back together, just for a little bit of stability while I work. Obviously I haven't got much to work with, but it doesn't matter. Just so it holds its box shape, really. Okay, so this is the shape I'm left with. I'm just going to stick down that bit that's sticking up. This is, in this stage, we're not looking for perfection here, obviously. Do I want it that big or do I want it a bit smaller? 1 second, let me compare it to the others I've got. I want to make it a bit smaller, so I'm going to cut this end off. I'm going by the scale that I basically made Baba Yaga's house because I liked the size that came out as. I'm just going to push that together like so. So what I've done is cut it, and then I've put the main part inside the small part like that to make it shorter, but also to still give me the side. This is all going to get covered, so think of this as like the armature in a sculpture. No one's ever going to see this once it's covered up, so this is just a bit of masking tape to give it a bit of form and hold it together for me while I work. Okay, so that's the main bit, and you're looking at that and you're thinking, oh my god, what is she making? But trust me, it'll work. I'm just deciding now, do I want... Okay, so this is the shape I came up with. I like how it looks slightly rickety, slightly off, but still got a basic sort of house shape. I want it to look like it's really old and it's kind of collapsing. So first thing I need to do is put the wood on this, you know, with the wooden strips, and then I've got to create like stonework for these two bits because I want it to look like it's part stone, but I'll do that later. So for the first bit I'm going to need some strips for wood, and the way I do those is I take I take card. I work out the size the strips need to be, which is about that. Then what I'm going to do, scrape all over the surface so it looks like it's got wood grain on it. And I'm not doing this to look beautiful. And I don't want my lines to be perfect. I'm just adding some texture to the wood, like so. Basically you want this. Try not to press too hard like I have, but never mind, it'll still work for what I want. And then I'm going to cut the strips. And yes, I know I've got no door and windows on here yet, but I'll do them after I've done the main wooden plank things. Let's have a look. Is that going to look too big? Probably. Yeah, that'd be better. So I'm going to want them about a centimetre, just under. Okay. And what I do is I just cut a bunch of them out, like so. And then just stick them on. Oh, and also try not to make them perfect. So like if you can like sort of cut them so they go a bit wiggly at the end, that's even better. Should have done that before cutting them out really. And then you just stick them in place like so. Again, I'm just going to wiggle this one. Just sort of make it so the ends, it's not straight on one side. Hopefully you can see everything I'm doing because the sun's decided to disappear. And have them, so you start at the bottom and overlap them slightly as you go up. And obviously don't cut them so they're all like, you know, perfect. As you can see, I've got little ridges and little wavy bits and bits where the shape's off a bit, and it just adds to it. It'll look a bit more realistic once it's painted later. I like using hot glue for this as well because it dries quick. It makes life a lot easier. And also it's not going to make the card like warp or buckle or anything like you would if it got wet with PVA glue. So that's why I tend to use hot glue. Plus what I like about hot glue is the speed with which it sets. It's a lot faster than PVA glue. So it will dry a lot quicker, which means I can get to the painting stage on the same day as opposed to waiting overnight for anything to dry, because that's the only trouble when you do it like paper mache style or anything, is you'd have to leave it overnight in a warm room to dry. And I like to sort of, stuff like this, I like to try and get it all done in one day if I can. Sometimes it'll take two, because like sometimes I'll spray paint the main structure and then I'll have to wait obviously for spray paint to dry and stuff like that. But other than that, and then I'm going to cut this bit. And then what I'm going to do to finish this, oh, I'm going to do that side first, but what I'll do is when I finish the side, I'll cut a piece like that. And score it so it folds in half. Obviously I'll add to it the wood texture, and then I tend to stick it like that, and that sort of finishes off the side. But I'll do that in a bit. First of all, I'll just do the other side. Okay, so what I did for this one is I created strips of cardboard that were ever so slightly irregular, and then scraped these lines into them for the texture of the wood. I cut out rough stone shapes out of card, stuck them on to the towers, like the stone part of the building. Then I've used hot glue to go in between as a sort of mortar. So that's like the stonework around the outside. All I've got to do is get off the little hairs of glue that are here and there, which should just like rub off. And then created strips of glue on the back as well, and I've created these little windows. I got these strips of bark from the local art store and just cut them to the sizes that I wanted. So I made 2 windows out of that, and also made my door out of it. Just strips of them going down, rounded off at the top, and then 2 strips across. I'll work out later on how to do hinges and door handle, because I haven't got the stuff for that. And then I used some more of the bark to do the cone shape on this part of the roof and on this part of the roof. So that's what it looks like so far. The next job is to paint it all black, which is what I do to start off with, and then I'll work on creating the colours for the stonework and for the wood. So let me just clear up my mess and I'll come back and show you me doing that. Okay, so for this part I'm just doing a voiceover because I didn't record the voice, me talking for this bit. So all I'm doing here is adding a coat of black acrylic paint. I'm using the paint as dry as I possibly can. I just find this prevents the cardboard from warping at all. It makes it so it dries faster, and also so I can make sure it's a nice opaque layer. And what I'm going to do once I've painted the whole thing black is then do dry brushing over the top in grey and probably a little touch of white just for the sort of highest highlights. And then what I'll do is where the mortar is for the stone, I'll probably go over that with a darker colour again. And also, I know I haven't cut the windows out or anything yet. I always do that last, and then I just have to touch up any little bits of paintwork. But I'll show you that in a minute. Black, and then dry brushed over the top with some grey and white. And then using a sort of stippling motion on the stones, I stippled some grey onto the black of the stones. And then I've just got my fine brush with some black paint on, and all I've been doing is going over the fake mortar that I created with the hot glue, just to make it a bit darker and make the stones stand out a bit more. And obviously just did a whole general dry brush over the top of the whole thing. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I've got to cut the windows out. I tend to do this after I've painted the whole thing. I just find it easier. I don't know why. It's just how I tend to do it. Plus I can sort of make it kind of look like the windows are broke. And it's just a case of shoving everything inside, like there. And then what I do is I take a paintbrush that's not covered in white paint, and I just touch up any edges I've exposed. And then what I'm probably going to do with this is put lights inside so it'll actually glow at the night time. Take that piece off. And then all I do is anything that's showing, I make sure I cover it in some black. Okay, so all painted up, it looks like this. And the way I did the door handles, the door handle and the bolts for the hinges in the end is I just used hot glue and made little balls with the hot glue. So yeah, it looks like that so far. I've got a little gap inside. I've just noticed I've got to paint, and yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it turned out. The bits on the roof are some fake leaves I've got. So I've set it in the middle of my haunted village. Let me just move my snail tank out of the way. So that's how the haunted village is looking so far. I'm going to light it at some point. There is the big haunted house on the right and the little house are rigged to light up. Baba Yaga's house hasn't got any lighting rigged up in it yet, nor as the new house, because I had these little packs with micro LEDs on, but I've run out. If I can find where I've put a couple of them, I'll take them out of other projects I've put in to light them up. So eventually these will all light up in the dark. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.